Chapter 3. Echoes of Chillicothe. The dawn broke gray and heavy over the Jacks homestead. The Ohio skies smudged with smoke from Chillicothe's distant fires. Grandpa Jack stood at the edge of the cornfield, his .308 rifle slung across his back, his scarred hands thumbing through the worn pages of his journal. At 75, he felt every ache from his tunnel rat days in Vietnam, but the EMP had lit a fire in his bones. 30 years of prepping, stockpiling, fortifying, training had led to this. The world had finally caught up to his paranoia, and he'd be damned if it caught him off guard. The homestead sprawled around him, a 100-acre fortress of fields, orchards, and forest, its windmills silent and solar panels dead. The stream's hydropower turbines still hummed, a faint pulse of life, but last night's looter scare had proven the truth. Their sanctuary was a beacon to the desperate. Jimmy and Jenny had held the line, but those vultures, Carl and his crew, would return. Grandpa's gut told him worse was coming. He glanced at the farmhouse, where Grandma Jax was brewing coffee on a wood stove, her nurse's calm a counterpoint to his restless edge. Jimmy and Jenny were inside, grabbing a quick meal before the day's work. The kids were tough, Jimmy with his hunter's grit, Jenny with her plant smarts, but they were green. This wasn't a deer hunt or a garden project. This was war, and Grandpa knew war. Grandpa! Jimmy's voice called from the porch. The boy stepped out, crossbow in hand, his face drawn from a sleepless night. We're ready. What's the plan? Grandpa tucked his journal into his belt. We scout Chillicothe. Need eyes on what's happening. Looters, gangs, survivors. Can't defend this place blind. Jenny appeared beside Jimmy, her botanist satchel slung over her shoulder. I should come, she said, her green eyes steady. If there's wounded, I can help. And I know the back roads. Grandpa studied her. She wasn't a soldier, but her knowledge of the land was worth more than a rifle in a pinch. Still, splitting the family risked everything. You stay, he said. Help Grandma fortify. Barricades, traps, the works. Jimmy and I'll handle the scout. Jenny's jaw tightened, but she nodded. Be careful, both of you. Grandma emerged, handing Jimmy a thermos of coffee. Back by noon, she said, her voice firm. No heroics. We need you here. Jimmy gave a tight smile. Yes, ma'am. Grandpa led the way to the barn, where their horses, 2 sturdy Morgans, waited. No cars, no trucks, just hoofbeats now. They saddled up, Jimmy slinging a pack with water, jerky, and a first aid kit. Grandpa checked his rifle, his fingers tracing the familiar weight. He'd crawled through Viet Song tunnels with less, but this felt heavier. This was home. They rode east. The 10-mile trek to Chillicothe, a straight shot along dirt trails Grandpa had mapped decades ago. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. No power lines. No drone of planes. The only sounds were the creak of leather and the occasional snap of a twig. Jimmy rode beside him, his crossbow across his lap, his eyes scanning the trees. You trust Jenny's call last night? Grandpa asked, breaking the silence. Blinding those looters with her flashlight? Jimmy nodded. Save us a fight. She's quick under pressure. Good, Grandpa said. But pressure's only going to get worse. You ready to lead when it does? Jimmy's grip tightened on the reins. Trying to be. Grandpa grunted, satisfied. The boy had potential, but potential didn't win wars. He'd learn or they'd all pay. The trail opened to a rise overlooking Chillicothe, and the sight stopped them cold. The city, a modest grid of 20,000 souls, was a husk. Smoke curled from gutted buildings, stores, homes, the hospital. Cars clogged the streets, abandoned or burned. Figures moved in the distance, some scavenging, others running, their shouts faint but frantic. A church steeple stood untouched, a lone sentinel amid the chaos. Jesus, Jimmy whispered, his face pale. Jesus ain't here, Grandpa said, dismounting. He tethered his horse to a tree and crouched, pulling binoculars from his pack. Stay low. We watch first. Jimmy followed, belly crawling to the ridge's edge. Grandpa scanned the streets, his Vietnam instincts kicking in. Most of the movement was disorganized. Folks looting grocery stores, dragging bags of canned goods. But one group caught his eye, a dozen men, armed with rifles and bats, moving with purpose near the old warehouse district. They wore mismatched gear, hunting vests, bandanas, but their leader stood out, a broad man with shaved head, barking orders. A pickup truck, somehow still running, idled nearby, loaded with crates. Gangs already, Grandpa muttered. That bald fella's trouble. Bet my boots he's tied to those looters from last night. Jimmy squinted through his own binoculars. They're loading supplies, food, maybe weapons. Look at the truck. Must have been shielded from the EMP. Grandpa nodded. Means they're organized. Smart. We need to know where they're holed up. They watched for 20 minutes, mapping the gang's movements. The bald leader, Grandpa dubbed him boss for now, sent scouts down side streets, while others guarded the truck. A scream cut through the air, and Grandpa's binoculars shifted. Two of the gang's men were dragging a woman, kicking and pleading, into an alley. Jimmy tensed beside him. We gotta do something, Jimmy said, his voice low but fierce. Grandpa's jaw clenched. He'd seen this in war, power vacuums breeding predators. But they were 2 against a dozen, and the homestead came first. Not now, he said. We're here to scout, not fight. We help her, we risk everything. Jimmy's eyes blazed, but he stayed put. Grandpa hated the call, but survival wasn't sentimental. They marked the warehouse's location and retreated to the horses, the woman's screams haunting their ride back. The trail home was uneventful, but the silence between them was heavy. Jimmy broke it first. We can't just let that happen. That woman, she's someone's family. Grandpa kept his eyes on the path. I know, boy, but we ain't the law. We protect our own first. You want to save the world. You better have a plan that don't get us killed. Jimmy didn't answer, but Grandpa saw the fire in him. Good. He'd need it. They reached the homestead by 11, the sun high, but the air still thick with smoke. Jenny and Grandma had been busy. New barricades of logs and scrap metal-lined perimeter, and fresh snares glinted in the underbrush. Jenny ran to meet them, her face etched with worry. What did you see? She asked, helping Jimmy unsaddle. Chillicothe's gone to hell, Jimmy said, his voice tight. Fires, looters, and a gang already moving in. Saw them take a woman. Couldn't stop it. Jenny's hand went to her knife, her eyes flashing. Traffickers? Maybe, Grandpa said, dismounting. Organized, armed, got a working truck. Holed up in the warehouse district. We need to double the watch and prep for a raid. They'll come for us soon. Grandma joined them, wiping sweat from her brow. We got the barricades up, and I've moved more supplies to the bunker. But we're low on fuel for the stove. We'll need to conserve. Grandpa nodded, his mind already on defenses. Jimmy, you and Jenny check the hydropower turbine. Make sure it's secure. Grandma, help me set more traps. Tonight, we sleep in shifts. As they dispersed, Grandpa lingered, his journal open to a page from 1985. Day 1, when it hits, trust no one. Hold the line. He'd written it after a nightmare of tunnels and blood, when he and Grandma first bought this land. Now, the nightmare was real, and Chillicothe's echoes were just a start. A faint rumble reached his ears, not thunder, but engines, distant and unnatural in an EMP-dead world. He gripped his rifle, his eyes on the eastern road. The vultures were circling, and the Jacks family's war had only begun.